In the last 11, nearly 12 years that I've spent trying to get clean from addiction, I spent many years looking at everyone else's trauma so that I didn't have to focus on my own. My friends thought I was happy, I had all the materialistic stuff, but inside I was broken. I was just told I was a naughty kid, told I was bad, and of course that made me go, don't tell me what to do, I'll do it. But really, I didn't actually know how deep it went. Anger for me is often a secondary emotion for sadness.
I find it really sad, you know, just what you've been through.
No one's ever said that.
I spat Harry.
Becky, Dr. Becky.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You took a train?
I did.
How long?
Took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Portsmouth up to Shepherd's Bush. I think that's where I got off. Thank you for inviting me.
It's funny, isn't it, how like the algorithm shows you what they think the algorithm thinks you might want to see.
Are you talking about you finding me?
Yeah.
Why did your algorithm think that you wanted to see a bloke in an ice bath talking about mental health?
So it's interesting because it popped up and it has this like really calming music, which, you know, which I found instantly put me, you know, at ease. And I started watching it and well, I thought straight away, it's like my industry, it's mental health. So that's why it wants me to see it. But somebody that I had dated very briefly had clicked like on it. And I think we still follow each other, but we don't have any...
So you were interested in what he was liking?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, he had... I don't know if he had a substance problem or was a binge substance user, but there was something not great in his life about that, you know, hence we only dated briefly. But I think because we follow each other, the algorithm must have thought, okay, she likes mental health and someone that is
There's
a mutual follower
connection, yeah.
is into your content. And then I think that's why it
Either
decided
that
to show it
or
to me.
if you're talking about the video that I think you're talking about, it went viral anyway, so most people saw it. Yeah, it's had about, I don't know, 15 million views across 4 platforms.
It must have been
And
that
it was,
one.
yeah, 394, where I was really struggling with my mental health and I just wanted to give up 394 days ago. Interestingly, that was 102 days ago because today I'm on day 496.
496.
And that only seemed like a couple of weeks ago that I filmed that video. But I just that's what I do. I come out into my garden. Do you know? Is that the first time you saw me?
Yeah, it was the first time I saw you. The video popped up and I was like, oh, addiction. This guy is overcoming addiction. He's doing great now. And then I was like, oh, somebody that I used to know, who I used to care for. I was like, oh, potentially he's in a better place now.
Okay.
Which, you know, I would only want love for that person. So I was like, oh, maybe he's also being helped by your video.
It's interesting you say that. My videos, I say this quite often, I have a sort of target audience, yeah? And I've evolved into what I think now is my target audience. My videos are for 2 people. People who are struggling with substance misuse and addiction issues that are looking to get clean and want some inspiration and some motivation. And it's to educate those that don't know what the disease is, what it is. And it's interesting hearing what you're saying there, because you're not an addict.
This is actually, I'm glad you're asking.
Okay.
I've never had any substance addictions,
Okay.
but I have had eating disorders in my
Okay.
younger years. But I have had psychological addictions or emotional addictions. And what
Okay.
I mean by that is that I have at times in my life, or there was a period of time in my life that I was struggling with something emotionally, and I did not have the emotional maturity to be able to control myself, my behavior, carrying out behaviors that were serving me
Yeah.
well. I was not making good choices about my behaviors because I was not able to regulate my emotions to the best of my ability. So kind of
Okay.
lack of emotional maturity. So I've definitely had some addictions in that sense, but not substances.
Not substance. No, you haven't found those yet. Some people, you know, they it's called cross addiction. So in the last 11, nearly 12 years that I've spent researching and trying to get clean from substance misuse, from addiction, I've learned a lot about what it is that I suffer from. And I don't have a drug or an alcohol problem. I have a me problem.
Yeah.
And I look for any external substance to change the way I feel internally because I'm uncomfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
So it could be anything. It could be drugs. I found drugs and alcohol. I found gambling, women, food, gym. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it could be. If I'm using that compulsively and obsessing over it to the point where it's detrimental to my life, then I'm still acting out. I'm still in active addiction. And I'm not acting out. I'm pretty serene. I'm not just clean. I'm actually living a serene life. I'm working a program, and I'm making sure that I'm not across addicting, because I spent years doing that, trying to get clean from one substance, and then realizing, oh wow, I've done really well. I haven't had a beer for 6 weeks, and then I'll be, in a casino every night of the week playing poker, aspiring to be a professional poker player, and then the poker goes on hold, and the next minute I'm snorting cocaine, and then I'm back and forward, and I realize now that I was using whatever I could find to change the way I felt, because I wasn't happy with what was going on in here. And it was only when I opened up the door to it with a therapist in a setting like this, minus the cameras and the microphones, of course, that I was able to get vulnerable and open about how I actually view myself and unpick what's driving that. So, yeah, my video, like I said, goes to, I think, 2 people. A lot of other people enjoy it as well. And yeah, but I think my predominantly my audience is people that are struggling and people that are looking to understand, because I get a lot of messages. And yeah, since I started, I've grown pretty big over the course of this last 16 odd months, just over 16 months. And I've probably got about 7,000 unread messages at the moment. And I feel really bad, because I want to get back to everyone, but I'm just one guy. And if I start opening these messages and engaging, I do read every message. So every single message I have received, I have read. But I just cannot, because some of them are so long, and a lot of them are partners or parents or children of people that are struggling. And I think if I open that, my missus is there about to do bath time. I've also got to edit and upload my video, and then I've got to think about filming tomorrow. And if I started opening these messages, I wouldn't be able to create the content that I create, which people find inspiring, which I still sometimes don't think it is. But that's just the imposter syndrome that I've got a little bit of.
We need to get you a PA at some point.
Yeah, that'd be handy. Yeah, I need to get some sponsors first, so I've got some money, and then I can use that to build a team. We're getting to the point now where, I'm starting to build on what I've got. I've got a brand. Ice Bath Harry is becoming a kind of a household name in the wellness industry, I'd like to think.
This is amazing. Where are you at with self-love at the moment?
I'm there. I'm feeling good.
Really?
Yeah, it's taken me a long time.
You could say you love yourself.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So that's what I think this whole disease comes down to, is self-worth. If I love myself, I wouldn't treat myself anywhere, I wouldn't treat myself the way I treated myself for so long. And yeah, that's what it's all about. I hated who I was. That's why, growing up, I used to shout how great I was, because I wanted people to love me. I was like, love me, because I don't love myself. Yeah, seeking approval, as well as people pleasing. I spent many years telling everyone how great I was and looking at everyone else's trauma and whatever, so that I didn't have to focus on my own. But really, I didn't actually know how deep it went. Because I'm sure that you've got a, you're a doctor. I'm sure you've done a little bit of research and a little bit how the brain works. The trauma response, the brain's trauma response, is to put it to the back of the mind to protect you. And I didn't realise that the stuff at the back of my mind was driving my outward behaviours. Look at me, how great I am. From the outside, it looked good, and I was, my friends thought I was happy. I had all the materialistic stuff, but inside, I was broken, spiritually bankrupt, just desperate for some love for myself. And that's what I found. And over the last 496 days, coming up to 500 days, I'll be 500 days clean on Wednesday next week. Wow. This is very exciting. We've got a special location as well. This will probably go out after that's been dropped, because I'm only 24 hours in front, So if I don't film an ice bath today, tomorrow's video doesn't exist. I'm only 24 hours. Most people think I'm like 2 weeks. I'm on day 496 today. 495 goes live this afternoon.
Have you done your ice bath
today? I haven't. I just admitted to the guy. I've forgotten your name. Dan. He said, "How was it this morning? How cold was it?" And I said, "I haven't took it. I did start today with a cold shower, however. But I wanted to spend a bit of time with my daughter Billy, who's 6 months old. So instead of getting out there and setting everything up like you've got here, because there's a lot of production stuff that goes on. It's not just me getting in the tub. There's the whole filming process, the whole editing process, the upload process. So instead of doing it this morning, I just said I'm going to have a cold shower and then spend some time with Billy, because by the time I get home from London, she's going to be asleep.
Have you ever filmed it in the dark?
Yes, yeah. I filmed last night in the dark. I've got some lights as well now, not quite as fancy as these ones, but I've got these. I don't really want to mention the spot, because we're trying to agree a sponsorship at the moment, so I won't mention them. But there's a brand that have sent me a couple of lights, and we're hopefully going to be working together.
Right.
And Yeah, they're really cool lights. So they're magnetic and they sort of stick. So they light up the tub in the dark. Because this time of year, obviously, it's dark in the morning, it's dark in the evening or the late afternoon. So yeah, it's not every morning. It used to be for the first 60 days. I want to say I got up, took a nice bath, edited it, and uploaded it.
Yeah.
And then I was, cracking on with the day. And then I think around day 60, I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is too heavy. I need to hold a video back and give myself at least 24 hours because I was having to get up every day for like 2 months at 6 a.m. to get out there for 7, to edit it between 8 and 10, and then get up for midday.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's and like I said, I've evolved, and yeah, I don't know if you've gone back as far as day one, have you?
No, I haven't
You
seen day
haven't.
one.
So do you want to know because you said it's the life story? Do you want to know?
Yeah, I want to know
Not
your
my
whole
life story. Not my life story. We'll get to that. But I want to just tell you how Ice Bath Harry came to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd love to
Should
know.
you just make up the questions?
Yeah, no, go on. Sorry, I'm excited. I'm excited. Go on, you ask me the questions. Go on, go on.
No, I want to hear the answer to that.
Okay. So, yeah, I spent 11 years in active addiction. It was about 11 years ago I realised I had a problem, yeah, so probably a couple of years before that. No, actually, that's a lie. So my addiction started way back when I was a teenager, yeah, 13, 14.
How old are you?
I'm 33 now. So the age 20 years ago, 13, 14, I was gaming, yeah, compulsively gaming on, computer games on a console for hours and hours and hours. And just like a form of escapism. And I look back now and I realise what I was doing. I was escaping in a warped reality, playing these kind of shoot 'em up games, first person shooters.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. I've seen loved ones do that, and like it doesn't look like addiction, but it's like, where is that person gone? Like they're not present,
Completely.
they're not connected to me.
No, wasn't eating, wasn't drinking. I was setting alarms because I had a few friends in America, so I was setting alarms at like 3, 4 in the morning just to wake up to play on their time zone. It was wild. And then 14, 15, 16, I was drinking in the parks, smoking a bit of puff, whatever you want to call that, the brown stuff. I don't know how my dad didn't notice. I had like little holes all over my tracksuit bottoms.
Oh my
Surely, he was a bit naive. He was too busy doing, working hard and gambling, smoking, sleeping with different women. Yeah.
Your dad was.
Learned behaviours, a lot of my earlier
It must have been quite painful to experience that lack of emotional availability from your dad.
Yeah, so my mum wasn't there as well. She left when I was 4, and I was raised by my dad and an au pair most of the time. My dad was working really hard as a travelling salesman in the print industry, and he'd always be up here driving around London. And yeah, I'd get picked up from school by either my granddad or an au pair, and through the holidays, he was there, but he wasn't. And that's almost, thinking about it now, how I feel a little bit. I'm at home a lot. Yeah, physically I'm there, but I'm not emotionally. Yeah, I've got to be mindful of that. That's just come to me now, actually. As much as I want to keep building this brand and stay clean and keep inspiring everyone, I've got to be careful that I don't get too caught up in it, because otherwise I'm going to end up with my daughter and my son, when I see them on the weekends, they're probably going to... My son, Travis, said it the other day. He said, "You're always on your phone, you're always working." And I was like, yeah, you're right.
It's really hard, isn't it? Because this is a thing that I don't hear this talked about enough. What is being emotionally available for your child, and what is actually being completely emotionally unavailable? Because no one really sees this, and what can look like great parenting can actually be parents who are very emotionally unavailable. So tell me more about that, because you said you just thought about it now.
What, me? And how... I mean, I've got caught up in what I'm doing, and I don't think it's an addiction. I've disciplined myself. Yeah, I said 496 days ago I'm going to take an ice bath, and hope that changes my brain chemistry in a way that I don't have the obsession to want to get cocaine and drink and smash myself to bits, because I'm riddled with guilt and shame from not seeing my son for 5 years, pretty much. And yeah, I took my first ice bath, and I filmed day 1. So, and obviously since it's every day, I haven't missed a day. It's heavy and it's impressive, and a lot of it's running on discipline rather than motivation, because there's times, because I am an addict, I have a disease that tells me I don't have one. I have a brain that tells me I'm not worthy, a brain that tells me I'm not good enough, the brain that tells me to hit the big red button and sabotage everything. and I still have mental health issues, and people say, well, take the drugs away and see how bad your mental health is. Well, yeah, it still can be bad at times because I was using the drugs to suppress the mental health issues I had. And now I've took the drugs and the alcohol away, albeit I'm 16 months clean. I still have mental health issues at times, and I'm working. We're all a work in progress, right?
Yeah, I can imagine the fear of falling back into it.
Of course. And there's been times like 394. I just came out, and that's what you get with me, Becky, is I'm honest about how I feel. I come out into the garden. So, like I said, it started on day one. I reached out to a few ice bath companies. No, let's go back. So I spent about 11 years trying to get clean, right? In and out of fellowships. Yeah, I went to Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to all these different meetings. I was seeing a hypnotherapist, a therapist, a counsellor. I was engaged with a drug, like a key worker, or whatever you want to call them. And I was engaging with all these different things, but nothing was working. I just was not ready, for whatever reason, to accept that I was an addict. Not just a drug addict, but an addict in general.
Yeah.
What do you mean I got disease? Yeah, and I was getting all these conflicting, views and stories and like my hypnotherapist would say, you're not an addict. You were an addict. You were addicted. One day you can successfully drink. And I'm like, hang on a minute.
Does it have to be called a disease in your mind?
It's got me. Listen, I've never been 496 days clean. And in the last 496 days, I've introduced myself as Harry, a recovering drug addict. And it's got me this far. And last time, when I came out of rehab 6 years ago, I got complacent. And my brain said, you're not an addict. You don't have any diseases. You're all right. Let's go for a beer and just put all this behind us.
Yeah.
I went for one beer, and that led into a 4.5 year relapse.
Wow.
It nearly cost me my life. So I'm okay with saying I'm an addict. I'm okay with saying I've got a disease, and it's easier to manage that way. I've got something wrong. It's a mental illness. Yeah, I'm not just a bad person. I've got trauma, and my go-to to cope is to change the way I feel with whatever, drugs, alcohol, custard creams. Yeah, it don't matter what it is. Yeah, I've got to have all of it and more. And yeah, I spent years trying to do it, and then it was the 21st of July last year. Well, preceding that, a couple of days before that, I reached out to a few ice bath brands because I'd heard on another podcast like this. It was actually Joe Rogan who said it. Ice baths are great. They give you dopamine, and I was like, okay, that sounds all right. And I'd done a bit of research. I'd heard a few snippets from different things that I'd read and heard and seen on social media. And yeah, people with ADHD suffer with low dopamine, which I do, which is why I've got that high risk, high reward. Yeah. Normal, mundane things don't make me, I have to do the extreme. Yeah. I'm always looking for something to sort of make me feel kind of a bit of excitement or a bit of a buzz. So that's the ADHD side of things. And then obviously you add in 11 years of, snorting cocaine every day, your dopamine receptors are so blocked and are so low that your body's not going to create it naturally, which is why I struggled. Every time I got to day 3, day 4, day 5, I really struggled. And I was like, I'm really uncomfortable in my own skin. I can't sit with this. I really need to have a line of Coke. I really need to have a drink. I really need to I need something because I was crippled with just hatred for myself. And going back to what we said about, the self-love thing. If I love myself, why would I treat myself like that? Feelings are temporary, and I've learned to sit with them now. But I couldn't. As soon as I didn't want to hear my son's name. People were trying to mention him during my that last relapse. As soon as someone mentions his name, I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it. Whatever, I'm going out, and I was all over the place, and I just wasn't ready to hear anything. I wasn't ready to accept help. And yeah, the 21st of July last year, after reaching out to a lot of different ice bath brands because I wanted to get an ice bath, I sent a relatively well worded email, and I said, I want to get clean. My name's Harry, and I've heard that ice baths can help the sort of the neurochemistry in your brain. It can give you a dopamine hit. It can adjust your serotonin. It can reduce your adjust your oxytocin, reduce your serotonin, your stress hormone. So I was like, I like the sound of that, but I've got no money. Would you send me one for free? And one company got back to me, and they sent me a tub for free.
Which company was it? Do you know what I mentioned?
No, I did, because I've got my own company now. Off the back of this, I've launched Ice Bath Harry. It was Mike, and Mike at Polar Recovery. Yeah, Polar Recovery got back to me and said, "Hi Harry, we'll send you a tub for free." On the basis, this is how Ice Bath Harry was formed. On the basis that you take a few videos, film a few videos of you in it, document a bit of your journey, and put it online. So I was like, "All right, we can do that." 70 quid ice bath. If I had 70 quid, on the 21st of July, I probably would have bought another bit of gear, and
Yeah.
I didn't have 70 quid. So anyway, the ice bath arrived on the Sunday. I set it up. I got in on Monday, and I put a tripod in front of the camera on my phone. And I said, "Hi, I'm Harry. You go back and watch it. I'm ill. I've been awake for 4.5 years, pretty much. I'm just completely sleep deprived, completely broken. I'm just a shell of a man that I am now." And yeah, I just said, "Hi, I'm Harry, and this is day one of taking an ice bath." I sounded a little bit more bunged up. "Hi, I'm Harry, and this is day one," because my sinuses were infected. I had ulcers. I was really unwell. And I said, "I'm going to take an ice bath to try and change the way I feel to help me stay clean from active addiction. Welcome."
Wow.
And I did that. I uploaded it onto social media, and then I did the same thing the next day, and I haven't stopped for 496 days. And we've just hit over 100K on one platform, with nearly 200 on another.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We've got over 300,000 followers and had over 100 million views. And I'm not boasting or flexing, but I'm just like, wow. And yeah, we blew up quite quick. And now I'm ice bath Harry. And off the back of this, when I got to my year, I set myself the target of 1,000 days. That's where we're going, yeah. And I'm nearly halfway through my shift. Coming up to day 500. We're going to go to 1,000. And off the back of obviously doing what I'm doing, around a year, I launched Ice Bath Harry. And very recently, in the last couple of days, my ice baths have just arrived. I've ordered the first lot of Ice Bath Harry tubs. And yeah, very exciting times.
Amazing. I want to talk to you about shame.
Okay.
And the fear of the shame when you made that first video, because that was incredibly vulnerable of you.
It was, but I didn't see it like that. I didn't really care what people thought, because I was just, I had no self-worth anyway. So, you know, I felt a lot of guilt. I think a lot of my using, when I came out of rehab, so I got a son who's 7, right? When he was 1, I was living with his mother. I was engaged to his mum, and he's got an older sister, who I was stepfather to for a few years. I had obviously a bad drug problem. I was, snorting cocaine daily. I was trying to run a business, and I was really unwell. And like I say, I'm not a bad person. I was just very unwell, and I was trying to manage life and manage me, and which I struggled to do without a substance. And at the time, cocaine was kind of very prominent in my life. And yeah, when Travis was 1, his mum asked me to leave. She said, "You've got to go," in the family home that we were in. So I was like, "Okay, cool. See you later." Because I thought that's an opportunity for me to go and use. So I did. I went and met the dealer, got an Airbnb, and got messed up for a couple of days. And then I was like, "Can I come back now?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "What do you mean no? It's my house. My mum owns the house. We rent it. No." All right, okay, or whatever. And then I just left and went and used again. And then, I ended up going from Airbnb to hotel to hostel to sleeping in the car to I was homeless at one point, and my dad paid for a HMO for me to live in. And at this point, the guilt started to creep in, which I now know is guilt. I didn't know what it was then. I was young, I was naive. I was 24, 25, I think. Maybe, Travis is 7, so probably a little bit older, actually, 26, 27. And, 25, 26, yeah. Anyway, I was like, this doesn't feel right. I feel uncomfortable. But how can I get my next fix? And I lived like that for years and years until my dad put me in rehab. I begged my dad to put me in rehab. And at this point, Travis is a year and a half old. And, I went to treatment. I'm not sure what his mum was expecting, because at this point, I've been out of the house for near on a year, living, like I said, not knowing where I'm going to stay, completely lost, completely isolated, feeling very lonely, very vulnerable on my own, but still putting a brave face on. But there was definitely guilt in there. Went to rehab, did 28 days, came out. I met Felicity, my partner now, in rehab. I was in there for 2 weeks, and she walked in, and I just, for whatever reason, I fell in love. I fell in love with her. And I don't know whether I'm right or wrong in saying this, but I feel like Travis's mum kind of maybe thought I might have come home. And I probably did say at that point, I am going to come home. And then obviously I met Felicity, and I was like, I can't have the way I feel. Come out of rehab, I didn't come home. I went back to the little flat, the HMO that my dad had put me in. And Felicity moved down 2 weeks later. And then COVID happened. And we lasted about 2 months before we relapsed.
Both of you?
One decision, yeah. Yeah, we both relapsed. One decision to go to the pub one afternoon led to 4.5 years of using heavy,
Together.
Snorting coke. She managed to get about 4 months clean in that 4-year period where she had a job and she was, you know, but I was just completely gone. And I think that's when the guilt really crept in. It's a long way of answering your question, wasn't it, Becky? Sorry. Guilt. I felt really guilty because at that point, I haven't seen Travis for a year. Oh, I feel, you know, woe is me. And then I haven't seen Travis for 18 months. I haven't seen Travis for 3 years. I ain't seen my son for 4 years. You know, woe is me and making it all about me. You know, all I had to do was get clean, put the drugs down, and stay clean one day at a time. But for whatever reason, I couldn't do it. I just wasn't ready to surrender. And I think a lot of my using over the last, in that 4.5-year relapse, after rehab, between getting clean, I think a lot of that was guilt, I think.
You kind of mentioned this victim mentality that you had, which...
The drama triangle.
Yeah, tell me about, like, the way you saw it when you were in that victim mode.
Well, I was just angry at everyone. You know, why me? Why you? Yeah, my mum wasn't... My mum had changed the tenancy agreement, so I was now, like, not on the tenancy, so she's letting the house to Travis's mum. And I'm just like, you know, what about me? And I've had this really rough relationship with my mum my whole life, and we're not talking at the moment, and it's very sad because she's just got just had a granddaughter, Billy, who was born 6 months ago. We're not talking, and it's frustrating because she's got her own mental health issues that she's not addressing, and now I'm dealing with mine. The relationship's still toxic, and it's like, it's not just me. You have to take responsibility for your role in it, and she isn't. So she's been cast away for the minute until she gets help. If she's watching this, she probably will be. Mum, if you're watching, please get some help.
Tell me a bit more about your relationship with your
Go back to the last question. I don't want to talk about that yet. Go back to the last question. What was it? The guilt, how I viewed it, victim mentality.
So
Yes.
Let's just kind of pause for a moment and just hold on this. So first of all, I really appreciate your vulnerability, and you're totally in control over what you want to talk about. I mean, this is your life and you're being really open and vulnerable. And it's also can feel very one-sided, right? Because you've got this, expert who's like asking these personal questions. But our relationships with our parents really like touch our hearts, touch our souls. And I think bring up the most emotions for us, ever. I mean, we could say siblings also, there's this really strong emotions attached. But we touched on your mom, and, I could see like some water in your eyes that this is like, it's touching on something.
Yeah, this is a lot of the therapy sessions that I've had in recent times. I still see a therapist now. Ali, her name is. She's absolutely excellent, and she questions and draws whatever she draws out of me, and I feel, like I'm really making progress. And a lot of the sessions that we've had have been around my mum and around my emotions and the way I struggle to. It's generational trauma that I don't want passed on to my kids.
Yeah.
Through someone who has, I believe, narcissistic behaviors. I think she is a narcissist, my mum. I think there's a lot of trauma. And, she doesn't take responsibility. I'm not going to sit here and just talk bad of her, but I'm just saying how it is. She doesn't take any responsibility. She points the finger. It's everyone else's fault. And again, that's something that I used to, a behaviour I used to show, because it's a learned behaviour, right? We learn from our parents. We want to do what they do. But growing up, my dynamic, the family dynamic was messed up. My dad was trading the stock markets, sleeping with different women, smoking, gambling, drinking heavily. We lived in this massive house with a big 4-bedroom house with a swimming pool. And I was getting picked up from my private school on the back of a Harley Davidson, my granddad, my mum's dad, And my mum left when I was 4 because she couldn't cope with my dad's behaviour. He probably was a bit of an arsehole back then. But she left for whatever reason. And maybe as a child, as a 4-year-old, I thought, well, what have I done wrong? Why don't she want to be here with me? And that's kind of where the rejection and the abandonment stuff kind of crept in.
That's quite huge for a woman, because we have such strong maternal instinct as females. It's a very big thing for your mom to have left you and not brought you with her.
Well, I haven't really sort of looked at that before. I guess we were always gonna. My sister and I were always gonna stay with my dad. I think, because he had the house. He was the the guy that was earning the money. It's almost like my mum was lodging with him. In this big house that he'd bought. You know what I mean? And then he bought a house for her, where we used to intermittently go. Don't remember much of it, but I just remember being angry, which I now know was sadness
Yeah.
that I didn't know how to express, because my dad, who I loved to bits, excuse me, it's a nice coffee. My dad, who I loved to bits, was ex-SAS. He was in the SAS 2-1 regiment, and he was very hardcore, old school. Yeah, men don't cry, get on with it, man up. And so I struggled to express my emotions in a healthy manner. So I spent years just getting angry and just using my fists and, fighting and getting in trouble at school, rebelling. I had a problem with authority. Sometimes still do. Yeah, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me not to do something because I want to do it. Yeah.
It's really hard, isn't it, when you are a child, because you internalize so many of these things. Like you didn't know that your mom wasn't there because of her own problems. You
No,
felt
of course.
abandoned.
But it was never a conversation, not that I remember. I don't remember ever having a conversation. I can't even have a conversation with her now, because she comes in and our relationship's been so intermittent over the years, but she just won't accept any responsibility. And she treats me like a child. She treats me, and has treated me over the years, as if I'm still the age I was when she left. Like she's trying to make up for it. I've done a lot of work on it, yeah. I don't care that you left, Mum. I'm not bothered that you left. What bothers me is the dynamic of the relationship now. Yeah, I've done all this great work, yeah. I've come back from the grips of addiction that nearly killed me multiple times, yeah, to now build what I'm building, to be sitting here with you, doing all this lovely, great stuff, this inspirational work that I'm doing, helping others now change their lives. I'm having therapy. I'm working a program. I'm trying to be a better version of myself, and I am a better version of myself. And my relationships with my friends and other family members are completely different. They're so much better today than what they were when I was having some involvement in the relationships being toxic. Now I'm clean and I've done all this work on myself. How is it that we still clash? How is it you don't listen? How is it you don't take responsibility? How is it that you keep blaming me? And how is it that all my friends and family say you've only got one mum? Well, she's only got one son. Why have I got a parent to parent? And we made an agreement a little while ago when I told her you're going to be a grandmother again, and I said, please, for the sake of our relationship, so we can have a healthy relationship with boundaries that are respected, so that we can be healthy around the children. Please, will you go to therapy? And I gave her almost a therapy session of the years of therapy I've had. I used the tools and some of the techniques that have been used on me to use on her one afternoon. We sat there for 2.5 hours and she poured her heart out. And I understand the reason she is the way she is, the reason why she has to control everything, because she had no control growing up. So anyway, I said, look, get some therapy. I said, do you feel better after that chat? She said, I do. I said, do you want to go to therapy? Yeah, I will. I promise I'll go to therapy and we'll try and have a healthy relationship. And Felicity found her a therapist. She went once, said she was there under duress, and now runs around saying, woe is me, sitting on the pity potty, the drama triangle, very narcissistic. But what can I do?
So can I ask you, can you imagine ever reaching a point in your life where you will no longer feel the need your mom to change?
I don't need her to change for any other reason, because I don't actually need her in my life. As sad as that may sound, I don't need her. I've got everything. I've got my own family now. Yeah, I've got my son. I've got my daughter. I've got my missus, my dad, who's his health's deteriorating. I've got a brother. I've got a sister. I've got other family members, and my friends have become my family. Yeah, people that I've met in the last year since since I got clean. There's no real reason, because it's just toxic every time. She's in the vicinity. I'm like, everyone's on edge.
Yeah.
And even the family members, my brother and my sister, when they go out for lunch or dinner with her and her husband, my mum and her husband, all they do is argue. And like the kids, my sister's kids and my son, when they go out, they're subjected to this toxic kind of, what's up with Nanny? Why is she being, why is she crying? Why is she shouting? Why is she, you know what I mean? It's just like, you're clearly not happy with who you are. What if you went to a therapist and they made you feel better and you started to learn to love yourself again? Therefore, you wouldn't need to behave the way you're behaving. And then we can have a healthier relationship. Because what the pattern is we reconnect. She wiggles her way back in. It goes a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, and then we have a big bust up. I kind of eventually admit my part. She won't take responsibility. And then I say, just do one. I'm not interested. And then she goes off. And then she tries to come back in without having to do without apologising, without doing anything. Tries to shower me with unwanted presents and then punishes me when I don't take them. that kind of stuff.
And the cycle repeats over
Correct,
and over.
and it's repeated for my whole life. And this is, and I said to my therapist the other day, I said, I get it now. No wonder I couldn't get close to women, because women was a massive thing for me as well. One of my addictions was seeking approval by sleeping with women. And if I could sleep with the woman that I sort of pursued, when that happened, I felt accepted and I felt worthy. But I wouldn't get close to them in case they left. God forbid that happens again, because that hurt me when my mum did it. Do you know what I mean?
I love how you've made that link between the problems with the relationship with your mom and then your relationships with women and how problematic they were for you.
Yeah, they were. And it's just been it's a lot of the, So what do I do? Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I made suggestions. I'm showing other people it's possible. It's the same with the people that watch my content. They're trying to get clean. They message me, oh, bro, I can't get clean. I'm struggling. I relapse every 2 days. Well, guess what? I did it for 11 years until I finally surrendered. What do I have to do? Well, no one's going to hand you it, bruv. You got to surrender. You got to put some work in. Yeah, you got to put some effort in, like I have. Every day I've got in 3-degree water and talked openly and honestly about how I feel, without a bravado, without a front, every day. And that's why 394 went viral, because I come out and I said, I've had enough today. All I want to do is use. I can't be arsed with this channel. I don't want to do it anymore. I feel like using. I want to go and sit in the car park, I think I said. I'm going to sit in the car park and use until everyone's gone to bed, and then sit in the front room and use all night, just to quieten the torture and the thoughts in my brain, because for whatever reason, that's how I felt. Yeah.
And did you film that? And
yeah,
you
that
put
was
that
day
out?
394. Yeah. What I could have done is come out and gone, hi guys, welcome to 394. I hope you're all great. Have a lovely day. Don't use drugs this weekend. Thanks. Like, follow, subscribe. But I don't. I come out and I go, yeah, hey, I don't like this. I'm not happy, but I'm going to get in cold water anyway. And guess what? That's a feeling. And the feeling passed. Yeah. Feelings don't kill people. Drugs and alcohol do. So I got through that. I sat with that uncomfortability. There's a video I did called The Feeling Train. Yeah. And it's an excellent analogy. I think it's an excellent analogy. So would you like to hear it?
I'd love to hear it.
So imagine you're in a desert and in front of you is a train track. Yeah, there's just sand everywhere. You're in the middle of the desert. There's just one long train track running in front of you. Yeah. Over the other side of the train track is your family. Yeah. All your possessions, your house, your cars, your watch, your missus, your kids, and everything's all there. Yeah. Over the other side of the track. Coming down the track pretty quick is the feeling train. And on the top of it are the minions. They're all the emotions. Yeah. They're all on the front. They're all screaming. Now you've got two choices at this point. Yeah. You can either step out in front of it and get hit by the first carriage. That's your first drink, your first line of whatever, yeah, your first smoke of whatever, yeah, the behaviours, the toxic behaviours, yeah. So your first, your choice of drug. The first one is the one that does the damage, yeah. If you step out in front of that train and act on those feelings, you go with the train down the track, yeah, and you're with the feelings. You're on for the ride. Now you don't know how far away the destination is. You don't know what's going to happen, but you're on it now because you've made that choice, right? You've opened it. You're powerless now. You're powerless over your disease. Yeah, one is too many, 1,000 never enough. At this point, you're just going to go, and then you've gone. You've hit the big red button, right? All the while you're on that carriage because you've jumped in front of it. Where are you going? Further and further away from your family that are over the tracks. Yeah. Or you got two options. Your second option, yeah, it's just to step back and let the feeling train pass. Let the feeling train pass. It might be a long train. It might be a short train. It might be an overnight train. Feelings will pass. And eventually that feeling, the back of the train will go, and you'll go, whew, thank God for that. Guess what's over the other side of the track? Your family or your loved ones. You just step over the track and you move on. That's my little feeling train analogy.
It's a beautiful analogy for emotional regulation.
Yeah, you don't have to act on the feelings. Just because it's uncomfortable, yeah, doesn't mean you need to act on it. Feelings will pass.
So you've learned, developed a huge emotional resilience through this journey.
Do you think I have?
How many days have you not used for?
496.
So something different happening with how you regulate your emotions.
Yeah, I'm listening to suggestions. I'm open-minded. I'm learning and listening to other people's experiences. And yeah, I do what I got to do. Cold water exposure, right? It's incredible. It changed my life. It literally changed my life. I took my first ice bath, and the feeling I got, it replicated what I was lacking.
It's really
like dopamine.
It's really interesting when you talk about your mom. There's a lot of anger there. And I perceive that, this is just my opinion, as
Mm.
really healthy for you right now because you're letting it all out. You're not trying to keep it within. You're not
Yeah.
drinking. You're not taking drugs anymore. And it's a very significant part of your journey because I feel that you need to release all of that anger in order. And this, again, is just my opinion.
Is it anger?
Yeah, I'm sensing anger. I'm sensing anger. I can always be proven wrong. So this is not about like me being right. It's not about me being the expert, but I'm sensing right now there's a lot of anger. And why wouldn't you be angry? I mean, you've been incredibly let down and emotionally abandoned by
I don't want to be angry.
what's wrong with anger?
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like wearing it.
I find it very real and I quite like you being that expressive because there's
I don't know if
something.
that's passion or anger. I don't know. I think anger for me is often a secondary emotion for sadness. So really, what I'm under the underlying feeling is I'm sad. I'm gutted. I've just had a baby, and my mum's not met her, and
Mm,
she said she'd go to therapy. She hasn't. I'm hearing all this stuff about her, and that's how I feel. I feel sad, but maybe I express it in a way that comes across like I'm upset and hurt, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just figuring it out.
for me, just watching this and me hearing your story, which I really appreciate you sharing with me, I find it really like nice that you're being so open. And I find it like, yeah, you're being very authentic. So I'm enjoying it. I'm sensing anger, sadness, and all of these things. And why wouldn't you feel all of those emotions when you haven't been looked after properly by your parents?
Hmm. My parents did the best they could with the tools they had. That's the way I look at it. There was not, there wasn't really any love or nurture from a motherly side. Obviously, growing up, I spent most of my childhood watching my mum getting escorted off the driveway by the police. You know, rummaging through the bins. You know, looking over the fence. My dad actually had to have a fence built around the whole perimeter of the house. Big
Mm,
4 bedroom house with a swimming pool. He had to put a fence around the whole lot to stop her from coming in and looking through the bushes to see which woman he was with now, because she left
mm,
but didn't. You know, it was just, and I was like, this is weird. But that wasn't weird.
yeah.
That was my normal.
Yeah.
Very dysfunctional, which is why I found myself in dysfunctional relationships when I got of age. And I'm not angry. I don't think I'm angry. I'm passionate, but I do feel like, hearing what you just said then, I feel like I often defend, I feel like I have to defend myself because she can be very manipulative. She's very Jekyll and Hyde, my
Mm,
mum. So one minute she'll play a character to you. She's got chameleon adaptability.
yeah.
So she'll blend into different scenarios and make a big deal out of it. But she jumps from the persecutor, the prosecutor to the victim. She's all over, and she switches personalities, and I don't want to, she poke and poke and poke and poke and poke and poke. And then I go, "Ugh," and she goes, he's a big bully. Well, you kept poking me. No, I didn't. And
Mm.
then, it's like, I don't want that in my life. I want to be moving on, positive, building my brand, building my relationships, making friendships, helping other people. I ain't got time to listen to you waffle on and create drama.
Well, your anger seems very valid.
Okay.
And I mean, anyone would, but it's infuriating behavior. I mean, this would drive
It's
anyone
just,
mad.
it's like, it's frustrating, isn't it? It's like, how long are we going to do this for? We've been
Mm,
going round and round in circles. There's nothing wrong with opening the door to getting a bit of therapy. And she will be watching this. So, and I haven't addressed her for a long time. I haven't spoke to her for a long time. And she will be watching. So, mum, what's the harm in having an open conversation about what really went on and what made you, you know, yeah, it's not normal. You know it's not normal, and you know you can't be happy. So, I just hope that you get some help, because all the while our relationship is toxic, I can't have a relationship with you because I've got to protect my own recovery. Yeah, let's not forget I'm a recovering drug addict. 16 months is great, but I'm only one or two bad decisions away from, getting kicked out the same gaff and ended up back in a HMO or in the car.
mm. I want to talk to you about entering a relationship while in rehab
Yeah.
because I'm imagining that that was frowned upon.
Oh yeah.
And I also want to ask you about your knowledge of codependency, which I imagine you know a lot about.
Which we
So,
did become very, both of us, Felicity and I. Yeah, it was frowned upon. In fact, when we were in treatment, I was there for 4 weeks. Felicity was there for 4 weeks. We met on the second week. So I did two on my own. We met, did two together, and then she did two after I'd left. and then she moved her whole life to Portsmouth. I'm a catch. What can I say? But they told us you cannot be in the same room with each other. And then 24 hours later, they made us sign an agreement. You cannot be in the same room. You mustn't talk to each other. But yeah, the hour that we had our phones in the evening, we spent most of it on FaceTime or chatting on text and whatever.
It must have just fueled when they're saying you can't be with each other.
Well, yeah, listen, we're addicts. I don't know if I've never actually thought about that. It's a good point, though. You know, if you wanted to stop someone, stop that happening, getting them both in a room and going, you cannot. Telling an addict not to do something. It's like saying wet paint don't touch. Well,
even a normal person, like if someone says you can't be in that relationship,
I said, why not? And I was in the room. I remember being in a room in like a really smaller than this. In fact, it was the in the induction or if you want, admission room, yeah, where you first go in and you're broken and you're like, and they say welcome, and then you fill in your parents sign the check to pay for the. You go, oh, thank you, and then you go into the Big Brother house. But yeah, they brought us into that room, right? And they said you two are bad for each other. One of you's going to relapse, and if that happens, the other one's going to relapse, and one of you's going to end up dead. You two need to stay away from each other. You don't love each other. You're mental. You're complete. You know, you're bright. You've just spent years. She's been drinking heavily. You've been doing cocaine heavily. You finally put the drugs down, and now you're cross-addicting with love. You think it's love, it's not. It's lust. And I sat there in a room. This is only like 2 days after we'd actually met, and I said, I don't think it is. I said to the guy who runs it, Tanner, his name was. Good stuff, Tanner. Double digits. I think he's about probably 15 or 16 years clean, maybe more. Apologies if I'm wrong. If you see this, Tanner, he was running the treatment centre in Essex that we were in, and I looked at him and I looked at her and I went, I love her. I said, I love you, and she looked at me and she went, I love you. I thought, what? And I was like, what is going on? This is weird, but I can't help the way I feel. I think I'm in. I said, no, I am. I don't think. I said, I am in love, and he was like, right, sign the agreement. If you talk to each other, you're getting kicked out, and we just had to adhere to it, and I'll be honest, we ended up like passing notes through other people who were supportive. Everyone was very supportive of the Harry and Felicity love triangle. You know,
quite romantic.
It was, and then, yeah, we come out of rehab and they got it right. We did, we relapsed and we both nearly ended up dead. But fortunately, we got it. Last year on the 21st of July, Felicity and I both got clean. And within 30 days of our sobriety, when we got clean, I like to think this time is the last time, yeah. 1 day at a time and all that. Yeah, 30 days in, we found out we're pregnant, and that was kind of like Felicity's motivation. Well, I'm not putting anything in my body. She stopped vaping, she stopped, smoking her stuff, and then I was obviously busy with the ice bath Harry, and then next minute there's a baby here, and now we're both on very similar sort of trajectories. We're both very lonely at the moment. The codependency that we had during the using is now kind of gone. But yeah, we're both on the similar trajectory. She's just like exhausted. Every second of every minute of every day, she's working, as am I. But I'm, with my baby, Ice Bath Harry. Yeah, she's with Billy, our actual baby.
Yeah.
But it's like I've said I'm going to go to 1,000 days. I can't just have the weekend off. If I don't, this is my recovery. This is my life. This is who I'm becoming. This is my future. This is my brand. This is my business. This is our future. And I guess sometimes I've got to be careful that, like I said earlier, I don't want to get caught up because just because the video's got to go up at a particular time, I'll be mindful that my kids don't end up feeling like I'm there but not there, like I said earlier, like my parents were. Because repeating this cycle, I said because my mum left when I was 4. Yeah, I spent my early 20s saying I'd never leave my kids. Guess what happened? Yeah, Travis was 1. I didn't see him again until he was 6. 5 years. I put drugs over him, in front of him, and he's probably going to watch some of this stuff at some point in the future. And I don't know how. I don't know. Right now, I just want to delete all of my socials in case he starts seeing it, because I don't want to hurt him, because I love him so much, my little boy. And I left him on his own with his mum for 5 years because drugs and alcohol are more important. He knows that Daddy takes an ice bath every day, and he loves me, and we're like 2 peas in a pod. But it's just kind of dawned on me that all this stuff I'm doing now, he's going to watch one day and go, that's my dad. I don't know how he's going to feel. But yeah, I just want you to know, if you are watching this, that I love you, mate. And yeah, I didn't know how well, I didn't realise how unwell I was. There's no excuses. But for whatever reason, I couldn't stop taking drugs and drinking. And yeah, I missed out as well as he missed out on me. But we're back now, and that's all that matters. I can't feel guilt. There's no point in feeling guilt. It's a wasted emotion. Why beat myself up for the 4 or 5 years that I missed? I've got his whole life. We've got so many adventures to have, kid. And I absolutely adore you. And yeah,
What's wrong
I'm
with
sorry that I
feeling?
wasn't there.
What's wrong with feeling guilt?
I don't really want to feel guilt because guilt was what took me out the door last time and kept me out there because I felt bad because I hadn't seen him. And this is just this all a process and a journey. But
Can you feel guilt and not act on it?
isn't guilt just a wasted emotion? Why do I need to feel guilt? Is it healthy? Is it healthy to process other things with guilt? Then is that what you're saying? Or
This is the second negative emotion that you've perceived as very negative.
okay,
Do you want my opinion on
go on.
negative emotions?
Yeah,
They're
please.
positive.
You think?
I think all emotions are given to, I think emotions are a gift and they're given to us as a guide. And we can be guided by our emotions, but we can be misguided by our emotions. But our emotions are trying to always tell us something. So if you feel angry, like you feel with your mom, your emotion is trying to tell you, I'm not happy with her. You need that guidance. Let's just say you feel angry with your partner. It's a signal, I'm not happy with my partner. And then you can
But I'm not
think,
actually angry, am I? Or do I feel rejected and not heard, not validated? Because Felicity and I got this thing when one of us is struggling or got something going on. We got the 8-minute rule, yeah. Because apparently, just 8 minutes can help. A conversation for 8 minutes can really help someone turn their whole day or their whole sort of mindset around. So no matter what I'm doing, if she needs me, she said, "Baby, have you got 8 minutes?" I say, "Yeah, of course." My phone goes down. I stop everything. I sit down on the sofa, and before we start, I say, "What would you like, comfort or solutions?" Because as a bloke, I really want to fix it, but actually, all she needs me to do is listen. Another skill that I've had to learn because I grew up watching my mum talk at people, so I never listened, and it's something that I'm having to learn to do. And I sit there, but sometimes I don't make her feel heard because she'll say something. I go, "Well, why has he done that then?" When I'll go around, then I'll speak to him now, and it's like that kind of, that masculine wanting to fix everything. Actually, all she needs me to do is listen and make her feel heard. So I don't know if it is what you're saying. I feel like,
well, what I was going to say about anger is if we can't register anger, if we can't feel it, if we can't respect it, if we can't acknowledge that it's trying to tell us something, we can't protect ourselves from the behaviors of other people. But it's the same with every single negative emotion. Like if we can't feel anxious, we're not going to be able to cross the road safely. We're not going to be able to look and make sure we don't get hit by a car. If we don't feel guilt, we're not going to have a good moral compass.
okay,
If we don't feel jealousy, we might not register that we actually love our partner and don't want them to go off with someone else. But it's all in its right doses, of course. You can feel anger and hit someone. That's not what the anger is supposed to be guiding you to
no,
do.
of course.
You're supposed to feel enough of it to be like, "Ooh, I don't like when my partner
Okay, I see what you're
shouts at me."
saying. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Is it healthy because she's regulating it correctly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're a psychopath, you don't have any of that. You just kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel a lot of different emotions, and I'm like that, like because I've got ADHD as well, and I'm unmedicated as well. So I'm raw dogging, white knuckling life as an addict who's
Well done.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes being in my little head. It's tough.
So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that I'm kind of perceiving you, observing you as being negative about negative emotions. So that tells me that you maybe were shamed when you were younger for being angry.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I was labelled naughty. I was, like I said, I was undiagnosed up until an adult. So I was labelled naughty. I went to a really posh school, right? I'm 33 now. So we're talking like 22, 23 years ago, or maybe 24 years ago. I was literally made to stand outside the office with a dunce cap on, a literal dunce cap. That's the school I went to.
Wow.
And hours just I only had to wait, and and that was me acting out, yeah,
Oh my God.
being naughty. I was labelled a naughty kid, but actually I was struggling with regulating, the school I went to, the parents. It was very it was unheard of for children to get into that school. It was talking like 6 people in a class in a year, in a whole year group. Year 1, there was 6 kids in the class. It was that, very expensive, very, the parents, if they were divorced, your kid wasn't getting in.
Really?
Yeah, the parents all had like a committee meeting one afternoon because they wanted a new uniform. What colours did they go for? The Wimbledon colours. They had these big purple socks, and a little green beret, little prefect badge that they used to take off me all the time to punish me because I was naughty. But actually, I was I was just shouting. I was just, love me, someone love me, because I don't feel it at home for whatever reason. That's not because my dad doesn't love me. I know my dad loves me, but for whatever reason, I just didn't have any. I didn't have any guidance. I was just labelled naughty, told to stand there, told to shut up, and then they asked me to leave halfway through year 6. And then I went to a state school, got bullied, and then I ended up going to private school again in secondary school. After a year there, they said to my dad, Mr. Beattie, you have to take him out because he's going to get expelled, and we don't really want it on our records. So he took me out of that. I went to a state school again, and then I got kicked out at 14, 15. Put me in a tyre shop, changing cars and just doing all sorts of different bits. And then I found sales because my dad's a salesman. And I had a bit of a gift of the gab. And yeah, I got into the double glazing industry. But yeah, so for me, I didn't know what emotions were. I didn't know how to regulate anything. I was just told I was a naughty kid, told I was bad, told not to do something. And of course that made me go, don't tell me what to do, I'll do it. And I did that for years.
God, this is heartbreaking to hear.
Is it?
Your story. Yeah, I find it really sad, just what you've been through. It's just so much heartache, heartbreak.
No one's ever said that to me.
So much. Really?
No.
No one said they were really upset to hear your story?
No. It's quite nice to hear someone say that, actually. Thank you. No one's ever said that.
I find it heartbreaking. I think it's so sad that you were mistreated so badly.
Was I mistreated or was I not? Am I fabricating it differently in my head? I don't know. Surely not, because why have I ended up doing drugs for as long as I did, nearly dying, multiple hospital visits, multiple psychiatric wards? Yeah, what's that all about? In and out of doctors, different medication, different antidepressants.
I'm really shocked that you went through all of that rehab and you went through all of I'm assuming AA programs, NA programs, and that no one has empathized.
Not really, because a lot of the people that are running those circles with have been through it, so it's their normal.
Wow.
I'm not saying that you've had I don't know what your childhood was like, but most people that I talk to, they go, oh yeah, it happened to me. Yeah, my dad used to beat me, and oh God, he had it worse. No one's ever really said to me that must have been tough.
Really?
Yeah, no one. That's just why I felt from you. Yeah, I felt, what's the word? Heard, seen. Yeah, I don't know.
It's so interesting because, I think in many settings like peer support, when someone has been through a drug problem, the peer support can be incredible because the empathy can be incredible because they really understand.
Yeah.
But it's sad to kind of hear that there's a lot of discounting of your experience.
Yeah.
And the bit that really stood and really struck me was just and this was probably one of the more minor things because it sounds like you've been through so much, but the teachers abusing you essentially by making you stand outside that door with the dunce hat. I mean, it's just I know that's only a tiny little snippet of your story, but I find that heartbreaking because I'm like, wow, multiply that by a billion times that you weren't attended to emotionally and that you weren't given a cuddle and that you weren't, and that your mom, didn't realize that her not being there would essentially destroy a huge part of your life.
Yeah, it did, which I guess is why I I said it on a podcast I was on a little while ago. The first time I took cocaine, it was like getting a warm hug from my mum. That's how I felt when I took drugs. It gave me what I felt like I was missing, and it quietened the inner dialogue and the inner chatter in my skull that's often narrating everything. Because what I got, but ADHD back then wasn't a thing, and because it was taboo to have divorced parents, it was all kept under, tucked under there. Don't worry about that, And there's a lot of stuff that was going on with my granddad and my mum. There's some stories that I never experienced any of that, but there's some stuff, and there's other stuff as well, which I've spoken honestly about on my social media. Sexual abuse, a friend of mine, all the stuff that I'm open. I'm an open book. What you see is what you get. If you don't like me, that's on you, man. I'm happy with who I am. I don't need you to like me because I like who I am now, and I've learned to love myself over the last nearly 500 days.
The essay, which I'll call it that for the, just because you have to not say these words
Okay.
on YouTube and social these days, where they push your content down. The essay is so common in addiction.
Yeah, when I did that video, but yeah, because people seek some sort of mood-altering, mind-changing substance to change the way they feel because it's too painful
Yeah.
to deal with it on your own or not talk about it. I forgot about it for years. I just thought it was normal. I thought everyone, because I was told at the time that everyone did it. That's why I did it. Yeah, the person who did it to me told me that everyone does it. I did it with my mate. He did it. Just do it. And I did it. And it didn't sit right with me then. It doesn't sit right with me now. I've done a lot of work around it with my therapist. But when I did the video where I spoke about it, I said I've been SA'd. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was SA'd. And the whole of social media were like, "We stand with you, Harry." And I had thousands of messages of people saying I've been through the same thing. Men.
Yeah.
Big men. Yeah. Big black men with chains and beards.
How old were you?
Talking about what they've been through and relating to it. 13 I was, and they were an adult.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, not an adult. I was 16. Is that an adult?
It's crazy how common it is. When I was in my training many years ago, I worked in drug and alcohol. It was every single client that I saw.
I had some sort of trauma with regards to
every single one.
Wow.
There was like if there was one where they kind of said it didn't happen, that would be a complete exception. And it was it was very unusual because that was the start of my career, and I was like, wait, this is really weird. How has everyone experienced SA? Like, it makes no sense. And then I just realized, that it's just so prevalent in people who drink and use drugs. Like, it's that, it really destroys people's lives when they've been through that, and the extent that people try and, I guess, suppress their emotions because of what they've been through.
Yeah. Makes sense.
A lot of people don't talk about it because of the shame that they feel.
I don't think I talked about it because I wasn't aware of it, because my brain had protected me, like I said earlier, the trauma response, by pushing it to the back of my mind. I wasn't really talking about it. It just happened. It was only when I was in treatment. I shared my rehab experience for the 28 days I was there with 20 other people. And one of those people one day said to me, in a conversation, it happened to me. I was SA'd by someone, and this is the story. And then when they said it, I went, so was I. Huh, that happened to me. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's mad. You just reminded me. And then, like, obviously since then, it's kind of been like brought to the front. Yeah. But yeah, there's just like loads of stuff. Don't tell anyone about that, and that's what I was told. I was told I was going to get killed if I told someone what happened at that. I remember it vividly. I remember the smell, the temperature of the room. I remember exactly where it was. It's just trauma.
It's crazy how trauma.
But back then, I didn't know it was trauma. I just thought everyone did it because that's what I was told. It was only when I got older I was like, this ain't right. You know what I mean? And then I lost my virginity very young, and then very sexualized. And often people that have been SA'd often people that have been SA'd sexualize things, don't they?
So tell me about sex addiction.
So yeah, we just slept with loads of women. I was just a pest. Just to see something that I wanted, and a woman, and it's quite disgusting. I don't mean to come across like I'm not being derogatory, but it's just saying how it is. Yeah, I just saw women as objects for a long time because they were kind of, and that's not a nice thing to say really, because these are people and humans, but and it was all consensual, and it was a bit, it was a bit of chase and flirting and all that, and then if I got a woman in bed, I felt accepted. But for whatever reason, I'd lose interest quite shortly after, and then I'd be on to the next. And I slept with lots of women for a long time, and it was just I lived in like a party lifestyle when I was like 18, 19.
So you would see a woman, and she would be like a conquest.
Almost, yeah, very much so.
And what would that look like in terms of your behaviour to?
Just flirting, just trying to be a charmer, because I like to think I'm quite good looking. I was a charmer, and I had the gift of the gab, been in sales, and I'd go, hello, you know, how you doing? My name's Harry, nice to meet you. You look lovely, and I'd just chat them up in a nightclub or whatever, and then, yeah, do you want to come back to my house for pizza and sex? And I'd do that like 4 times a week. It was mental.
And would you love bomb them, tell them lots of things that were probably not true, but that they might want to hear?
Did. No, I don't think I did. I was kind of I wasn't a complete, arsehole. I was like, yeah.
Do you not see it as love bombing though if you give someone that amount of attention when you've just met them?
But no, that's just like the flirt and the chase, isn't it? Is it not? Is that just like when you meet
It's a lot of attention. So what I'm trying to make you aware of is the dopamine hit that they would get from that amount of attention, particularly if they have low self-esteem. So then you put them on a high and you're dragging them into a addictive, codependent type of cycle.
Which I didn't know I had at the time, obviously. While this is all going on, I just thought I liked bunking up with women. But
of course.
I didn't realise now that's kind of everything that happened to me growing up to that point when I first had intercourse. I think everything that happened to me and the way my mum used to behave, things that kind of underlying issues with stuff that I'd been through myself, my mum's behaviour, what happened to me, it kind of led me to just do what I did and just. But back then I just viewed it as. My friends used to say he's a ladies' man. You know, he just lady boy. He's a ladies' man. That was when I was on the coke. No, most men don't admit that, but I will. But back then, it was like in the early 2000s, late 2000s, yeah, so 2008, 2009, 2010, when I was born in 92, so 2010, I'd have been 18. So in 2010, when I was 18, it was the in thing to go out nightclubbing and picking up and hooking up. That was a massive thing. I don't know how common it is now, but dating apps, yeah, you got all the different dating apps that you... Do you know what I mean? And I'd have like 50 conversations. It was. I look back now. It's like, what? That was mad.
Yeah.
I'd have like 50 different chat threads, and then I'd get a message from one, and I'd be like, oh, and I'd have a second backup for later in case. And it wasn't all about sex, but it was all about being approved, getting the stamp.
Validation.
And maybe I got to the point where I have an intercourse because otherwise I felt like a failure if I didn't. It's weird.
And then after you had sex with them, what would your behaviour be like in the aftermath?
Well, I wasn't like a bully. I wasn't just like I wasn't just like disrespect and be like, I was, I was always I'm not a horrible person. I haven't got a bad bone in me.
But I would assume that your interest would have massively dropped.
Oh, probably,
Therefore, there was no incentive to message them again or to follow up.
Because that's sort of like that's the addiction. So I think women it's a sex addiction, right? I'm sure that loads of people watching this can relate to what I'm saying. Other people are probably disgusted and probably tune off. But that's what my story is. That's part of what how I lived for a few years. And it was Travis's mum who kind of broke the spell because we didn't sleep together about 6 weeks. By that point, I was in love with her. So
yeah, and
of course Felicity. I think that my behaviour. I might have had a few women, but that was just like a company thing when I got kicked out. When Travis's mum booted me out and I went and lived in the Airbnb, and I was probably like chatting to different women on websites and stuff. But
why did abstinence or delayed sex change things for you in a relationship?
I don't know, because I got feelings, and that was Travis's mum, who I was bang in love with, who I still love as the mother of my child. I'm not in love with her, but I do love her, and I hated her for a long time because she stopped me from seeing Travis. She took him. I thought she took him away from me, and there was conversations that were had over email because I was blocked on everything, saying just sign him over to me. You're going to die a drug addict. In fact, she said once, I would rather you died so I could mourn you than worry about where you are when you're using. And I was like, wow, that's heavy.
Yeah,
that's how traumatic. That's how traumatizing my using must have been. I gave her alopecia, started losing her hair because she was so stressed about where I was and what I was doing. But I was just, I'd go to the shop for a pint of milk, come back 4 days later because I'd feel guilt of I've met the dealer, I've picked up half a gram, I've snorted it. Now I'm a bit wonky. I can't really go home like this, so I'd then do more and just keep going. And at that point, I was like, I don't want to feel reality. Whoa, not yet. And then I'd be like, who else is up for it? And then
So she loved you, and you thought
she didn't. We met in a nightclub, and I kissed her outside the nightclub. The first time we met, I gave her my number, and then we had a phone call, and then she deleted my number. I remember she deleted my number, and then I messaged her again a few weeks later, and then we went out on a couple of dates, and then within 6 weeks, I basically was living in her flat, getting on with her little, her daughter there, who was like 6 or 7, who I sort of, and I was only 24 at this time, and I was kind of like being a sort of stepdad sort of thing, and then I think because we hadn't slept, if I'd have met her on that night out when we kissed outside the nightclub, gone back home, Travis probably wouldn't be here, my boy, because, but for whatever reason, I fell in love, and something did change when I had sex with her for the first time. I didn't have the same feelings that I would have with right, who's next.
But she fell in love with you because she wouldn't have worried so much about you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If
She
she
was
hadn't.
completely in love with me and desperate to fix me. She read books on addiction. She studied late at night. You know, she spent hours researching and to try to find out what was wrong. She tried every method possible, but unfortunately, recovery is a program for people who want it, not people who need it. And as much as you want to push someone, like a loved one, if you're watching this and you've got a son or a daughter or a parent or a brother or sister that's using, or a friend that you're worried about, it doesn't matter what you do, mate. They're not going to get it unless they're ready to surrender. And I know that, and I say that from my this is my experience, you know. But you have to want it, because otherwise you're not going to get it. And I spent years, the first few years I went to meetings was to keep her happy, because she knew it was like it's a problem. You know, I was snorting for like 9 months without even realising. She asked me one day, I remember we were sat on the sofa, and I was working for a national double glazing company where cocaine is rife. In that industry, it is in a lot of industries, but double glazing seems to be everywhere you go, someone's on it, or everyone's on it. And yeah, I sort of fell into the trap. I went to the office one night and they had a bit, and I was like, oh, I'll have one. I'd only done it a few times at this point, but I was drinking and gambling and stuff. I snorted and I was, oof, and I remember I sold a big job and I made a lot of commission on it. And I was like, I might do that again tomorrow. Maybe that, you know, like Wolf of Wall Street. Right, ready? Nice to meet you. I'm Harry. Yeah, but it ended up being the complete opposite. I was just, I'll do that for hours, just sit like that for hours. But so the double glazing, cocaine, she'd asked me. At that point, I've been snorting every day for about 8 or 9 months, microdosing little lines throughout the day, every couple of hours. And I always made sure that I did my last line 2 hours before I come home. This is when I had some kind of control, because it's a progressive illness, yeah? I didn't just start off buying an eighth and going to London to find ladyboy prostitutes, but that's where I ended up, yeah? I started off with a couple of bumps, and that's how I lived for about 8 months. And she asked me one night on the sofa, she said, this is Travis's mum, yeah? She said, have you, be honest, have you ever done like cocaine with like the lads at work and that? And I just come out and I said it. I said, I'll be honest with you. Do you want to know the truth? And she said, yeah. I said, I'm on it now. She went, oh, okay. I went, no, I am. And I've been snorting it every day for 8 months. Oh, God. And she was like, shut up. I was like, I've got some in the car. I'll go and get it. And I did. I come back and she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And then I dragged her in a little bit to that world, try to get her involved.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that would have been easier, right?
Well, because it was easier, you know. If you can't beat them, join them. You know what I mean? And that's a Felicity. When we come out of rehab, the cycle kind of repeated itself. Felicity's an addict, so Felicity kind of understands me as much as Travis's mum does. I'm not calling her by her name. Obviously, you know, you probably have noticed, just out of respect, anonymity. So Travis's mum did a lot of research, knows a lot about the disease of addiction, but doesn't necessarily know what it's like because she isn't an addict.
She did fall in love with an emotionally unavailable person, though.
But was I wearing what coat was I wearing on that particular day? What character was I in? I don't know, because I spent years going from different. Yeah, I was in the world of sales. I'd been a charmer. I'd got this like chameleon adaptability, I call it, where I could turn into whatever I felt that you wanted me to be, and depending on my environment. So I don't know what version she saw. Was it the real me?
Well, she felt.
Is this the real me?
She
right
felt
an
unavailable person, no doubt. And
do you think she did?
Some people might say that there's some addiction in that in itself. Some people might disagree. But she felt that you were not there, for sure.
When we met?
The whole relationship.
Do you think?
Well, yeah, the reason I say this is because the way I feel about cocaine is it drains the empathy from your soul. There is no way that you can connect with someone on an emotional level while one person or both people are on
if both
cocaine.
maybe, because you're all kind of lovey-dovey, but one definitely not.
But is that real emotional connection?
Probably not. No, it's just you being weird and twisted because you're high. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. But yeah, after the 8 months, I told her, and she said, "Well, you're gonna have to stop, aren't you? You can't do cocaine every day. Like, have you been doing it?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing it. Like before I take, the kids to school. I'm not well. Don't know why, but it's just started. And then at that point, I was like, I've got a problem. And then I tried to hide it, couldn't. Then I tried to get help, then I couldn't. Then I go on benders. And at that point, she was like, "Well, you can't be doing it around me and my kid." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I won't do it." And then I just that's when I started to go out. That's how that kind of pattern formed of me going out and her going, "Where are you going?" "Well, I can't be here. You told me because I've got a kid." Like, it's not even like, so I'd leave and I'd go and sit in the car in laybys and,
How bad did it get?
bad.
How much were you using a day?
As much as I could get. And I was earning good money, in fact. I was probably earning 80 grand a year for a few years, working at one of the big companies as a sales rep. And I was travelling around the world, travelling around the south of the UK, probably doing about 1,000 miles a week on average. And I was snorting 500 quid a week, at least, easy, of cocaine. And yeah, I'd just get as much as I could. And at that point, I knew I had a problem. And at that point, I went to my first NA meeting. And when you realise you've got a problem and you realise you understand a little bit of what you got going on, your using's, you can't use successfully again, because every time you use, you feel guilty because, I can't because I'm not supposed to because I'm an addict. And all these other people are living clean. What about me? And yeah, I turned up to my first meeting 11 years ago and I told them who I was. I'd heard all this jargon and I thought, crack, they wrote a book about me. Everyone's saying everything that makes sense. Like, this is what I got. I'm one of you lot. And I felt really welcomed and I felt at home in Narcotics Anonymous and I was like, the disease of addiction, that makes sense. And then I kept going in, 1 minute I was in, 1 minute I was out, next minute I was using, next minute I was clean for a couple of weeks, couple of days, week, 2 weeks. I think the most I did was about 30 or 40 days. Just kept relapsing, serial relapsing, man. I got about 30 of them little white key rings at home just for today. Because I was looking at it long term, yeah? If I said to you, you can't have a drink for the rest of your life, what's the first thing you want? A drink. If I said, just for today, don't have a drink. Just for today, don't have a line of coke. Have one tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we'll get on it. I promise. Tomorrow we'll do it. Just not today. You go to bed tonight, guess what? Tomorrow, the thought that you had today is gone. And you stay clean just for today. So it's kind of like, that's how I've done it. Because like I said, the thought of not doing something, I don't know where I'm going to be in a year or two's time. What about my wedding with Fliz? Got to get a bag, haven't we? It's delusional thoughts. What am I even thinking about? 2 kids. But that's just how my brain works. But yeah, I tried at that point to get clean, and I went from earning 80 grand a year to 200 quid a week because I just couldn't go to customers. I couldn't sell. I couldn't talk. I was just mangled up, messed up. And yeah, I just spent, like, sometimes I go like 4 or 5 days. I go on a bender. Yeah, I just go AWOL. I get paid. I get a load of coke, and I'd sit in a lay-by for 4 days, 5 days with no sleep, no water, just me and pure coke and gambling and porn and prostitutes.
Wow,
that's where I got to.
It's so unthinkable.
And then I'd literally get to I'll be honest. I went to a couple of prostitutes. I didn't do nothing. I just sat on the end of the bed. I paid them 50 quid just to sit there and go, "Oh, I should be at home. What's wrong with me?" Oh. People are going to relate to that.
Yeah, and it's it's interesting, and it's very real of you to say that. So you went to the prostitute, you paid the prostitute, and there was like, you felt that you were going to get something that you needed in that moment, and it wasn't necessarily sex.
It's backwards, because I had a missus at home that was ringing me saying, "Please come home. We want to know where you are. I'm pulling my hair out here. I'm worried about you. I'm worried sick. If I didn't have a daughter in bed, I'd come looking for you. Where are you? What are you doing?" And then I was just ignoring all of it because I wasn't ready to face reality, because I knew I'd messed up and I knew that I couldn't go home the way I was. What I should have done is gone home. I should have loved me until I was able to love myself, but I just couldn't. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to accept any help. I wasn't ready to admit any faults. I wasn't ready to take any responsibility. And guess where I got that from, Becky? Guess who I learnt that from? You tell me, go on.
Your mum.
So, yeah, I'm working on myself. And I'm in a much better place today than I was in for many a year.
So what I would tell any woman who had a partner like that, who went out and was using, and I would tell them to leave immediately.
You would?
Does a woman leaving a man who's doing that help not enable the problem?
Does a woman leaving a man... Why's it got to be a woman leaving a man, by the way? because I have a lot of messages from men whose wives can't do it as well.
So
So
like,
it doesn't matter who you are. Addiction doesn't discriminate, guys.
yeah. So like a person whose
So someone
partner
whose
is
partner
going
who
out
is going
using.
through that, well, they're just in the same sort of situation. It's difficult because I'm the addict, and yeah, I've helped a few people over the last few months. I met a homeless fella who I helped get into treatment. I helped him get into rehab, and he unfortunately came out and relapsed, and he's back in there as we speak now. He's actually in there, but running around for that week when he got kicked out of his dry house that he went in after treatment. I went and picked him up, took him to the dry house, and I was running around after him, and I didn't know where he was. I was worrying, and when he finally went in, I took a sigh of relief, and I was like, and I thought, fucking hell, this is how my family must have felt. This is heavy, but up until recently, I'd only experienced it from an addict's perspective rather than the loved one of an addict, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any right or wrong. You've got to just do what you've got to do to protect your own sanity. I think it doesn't enable or, I was thrown out. I'm not saying her throwing me out was the right or the wrong decision. She just had to protect herself and her daughter, and then eventually her son.
Did it help you?
Our son,
a
Travis,
woman not tolerating the behavior anymore. Did it help you in any way?
Did it? Ask again, sorry.
So any female partners that you've ever been with who left you because they didn't tolerate it anymore.
So I'd only ever had one relationship. Well, I've been with two women long term with my active addiction, with the cocaine abuse. It's Travis's mum and Felicity now. Did
a woman leaving you help in any way?
Did Travis's mum leaving or kicking me out help me? Probably not, because I felt abandoned again. That's just my story. Because I've already got rejection and abandonment issues from my mother. Because of whatever happened as a kid that I don't really know because I was a kid. At that age, your mental and emotional age is, your emotional is not,
Did it help her leaving?
I don't know, you'd have to ask her. Either way, it's our story. That's what happened.
Yeah.
She said, you can't be here. This is obviously when Travis, we're living in my mum's. It's such a weird dynamic. My mum owns the house that we live in, and I live back in there now. After Travis's mum gave her notice, we moved back in because we were kind of like talking to my mum again. But now we're living in our house, paying rent, albeit cheaper than market value. And the latest I'm hearing now is she's going to apparently up the rent, even though she knows I'm still struggling right in the middle of building my brand and my business, and I don't have much at all, in terms of finances. But apparently the latest I'm hearing is she's either going to give us our notice now or up the rent. We just had a baby. If you really love me and really cared about my kid, your granddaughter, why would you even do that? Anyway, that
must be hard. The feeling of not having someone that you can rely on in times of need, particularly a parent.
Not a parent, and it's funny you should say that because of my dad and his ill health and what he's been going through. He got diagnosed with cancer, and they cut a third of his lung out. That's gone well, and then he's just finished literally last week 20 sessions of radiotherapy for prostate cancer, and he's very weak. He's on a testosterone thing that takes testosterone away, so he's very kind of weak and frail, and it's not the strong. I used to look at my dad like Goliath. Do you know what I mean? And he's not the man he was.
It's hard to watch.
It's hard because and I want to like chat to him about all this sort of stuff, but he's got his own stuff going on. So when I want to phone him and be like, Dad, this is my osteoarthritis, he goes, oh well, okay, all right. Oh, I'm not feeling too great anyway. Just like you miserable old sod. But that's just because he's getting older and he's 78, my dad, and his health's not great. But we'll see. He might bounce back. But so yeah, from both parents really. I love both of my parents. I do love my mum. Yeah. But just don't like her. I don't like the way she makes me feel. I don't like how she makes it all about her. I don't like who she is.
Change is really difficult for people in general, but yet you're demonstrating great change in your life.
At 33, why can't someone who's, twice my age get it? My mum, in particular. Yeah, why can't she? Am I not inspiring enough? Am I not enough to make you want to? You're watching me live my life through social media, because I know she does. She watches every one of my videos, and she will watch this, I'm sure. Why can't you put a little bit of what I've put in because you've seen how my life's changed. You've seen day 1 to day 496. You've seen how much it's not linear, but you can see how much I have grown as a person and how much I have changed and how happy I am in my life and what I've built and the friendships and the family and the people that I have got around me now. Do you not want that? Is it that scary to open the door a little bit to what happened when you was younger? That might be driving you to be weird now.
Do you know what I've sometimes seen work when someone really wants their parents to change?
Go on. Is this the fix? Tell me. I'll pay you.
This is only something I've observed in quite a few cases. This is not me giving you unsolicited advice.
It's a suggestion.
So there's a whole process of like going many, many years of feeling really angry and letting yourself feel really angry about your parents who have not changed, or he need to change, or he need to be a different way. You just allow yourself to feel that anger and feel any other emotions that go with it. And that might play out for God knows how long, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. And then eventually, some people, not everyone, and this is not necessarily something you need to aspire to, but it's an experiment and it's something that's quite interesting, is some people eventually burn out those emotions, because what you've said about emotions is they eventually die out. Like you just have to sit through them. You don't know when they're going to die out, and eventually they die out. So you sit through all this anger, you go through all this like, why aren't they different? Why aren't they different? Why can't they change? Why can't they be better? All of this stuff. And you just like feel all that anger, resentment, pain, sadness. And then one day, some people, and I've seen this in many people, but I haven't seen it in everyone. And I'm not saying you have to try and get there. And I'm not saying it's absolutely necessary. And I'm not saying it's even the journey anyone needs to be on. But for some people, the emotions die out and they no longer need their parent to change. And that's the very moment that their parent starts changing.
Really?
Sometimes. And it's mysterious. It's fascinating. I think sometimes, when you tell someone don't do something, I think we touched on this earlier.
Well, I do it all the time,
they just do it.
Let pain, don't touch.
Yeah, don't be in that relationship.
So, because do you think that there's a possibility that the way, because I'm having therapy, like I say, every week with a therapist who's really, really helpful. I've done a lot of work and I'm almost sort of like closing the door on how I feel and how my mum triggers me. And I've kind of like put it to bed. The only other time I talk about my mum is with other people like this, because it's part of my life story. It's part of what made me, I believe, become who I was for years. I'm going to say this. I don't think it's made me who I am today. I think I've made who I am today.
Yeah.
I'm taking credit for that one. Yeah?
Yeah.
But she did play a big part. My childhood played a big part in me ending up being a drug addict for as long as I was. But right now, the journey in sobriety, I'm proud because I've done that, because I've put in the graft. Yeah?
Yeah.
I need to tell myself that, because otherwise I don't give myself enough credit sometimes. So I'm just going to give myself that little,
Yeah, you're doing amazing, by the way. I mean, you're here because I was blown away by your videos, because I kept watching more of them. I don't know why I watched so many. It was just something like, there's something very soothing about it. I don't know if it's the realness. I don't know if it's the edit of the music that just feels like very calming and very nice to watch. I mean, I always like people who are real people. But let yourself, continue that journey of being absolutely furious with your mom. That's totally fine.
But is there, like you just said in that last breath there, is it not worth me just going, it's done? And then if she finds her way back in a healthy way, great.
It's done as in like you're not angry anymore?
No. Well,
or it's done as in the relationship
Am I still angry? Or is it just, I don't know if it's passion, because I say it sometimes when I've been having therapy, when I first started talking about my mum, I was, really uncomfortable. Like, I don't really want to, But now when I sit there normally, I'm just like, yeah, my mum's done this and this is the latest that I've heard. And I feel my body language has changed. Because I've talked about it, I've worked through it. I don't feel that much emotion around her. But yeah, I can kind of turn it on and turn it off. But yeah, I mean, if I just banished her, which is what I've done anyway, it's difficult because I'm on social media. So she sees exactly what I do. So it's almost like she's not, I don't think she's got any motivation to get help, because she's still having a relationship with me for a screen in a weird way. Does that make sense? Because she watches every one of my videos, so she knows exactly what I'm doing. Exactly, she'll know that I've been in, because she'll be watching my stories. She'll know I'm in London today. When the photo of the backdrop, she'll be on your channel later looking at what you do. That's kind of she's obsessed with me.
So, are you still in pain as a result of your relationship with her?
Not anymore.
I'm sensing a lot of pain, and I think that that's really healthy for you because you're
Okay.
letting it out, you're releasing it, you're not suppressing it anymore, you're not using anymore. It's okay to be in pain when your parents have let you down. Like this is,
Yeah.
you know, this is so healthy. Like I like how animated you are. It's like it's negative emotions are never negative. You're releasing them, which means you're
Of
not
course. But
depressed.
is it,
So
why is it that I feel like I need to defend myself when you say that, though? Why is it like I feel like I need to go, I'm not angry, it doesn't bother me? Why do I know? Because that's how I'm feeling now. I'm feeling like, why are you saying it's okay? I'm not angry. I
yeah,
don't care about my
I'm
mum. But
sensing anger, I'm sensing pain, I'm sensing sadness, I'm sensing
why do I feel
disappointment.
like I need to defend myself? I don't know why that
Because
is.
you don't feel that it's okay to feel angry.
Is that because I was told for so many years not to be angry?
Yeah,
Because I was not sure how to be sad, so I got angry and I got, and yeah,
yeah.
I was like the Hulk. People used to refer to me as the Hulk.
Mm.
Once I'd go, I'd gone, you know.
Harry, anger is a very healthy emotion to
If
release.
used correctly.
If used correctly.
Because there are a lot of murder documentaries that start with an angry blackout moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
my anger's not, you know, I mean, I'm not suggesting, yeah, but
Yeah.
anger, if as long as you're not hurt, you know, but then you know, I'm hurting, not just physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot. And
Mm.
sometimes I don't realise just quite how much it was. But everyone's been through, you know, everyone's got their own story.
Everyone does have their own story, but that doesn't take from your
No, of course it doesn't. It doesn't. No, you're right. And that's kind of still the little bit of imposter syndrome that I get creeping in. You know, this happened to me, but you know, that's just my story. You know, there's loads of people who got it worse than me, Becky. You know what I mean? And that's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
It's not a competition.
That's not because it's not. It's my story. I own it. It's who I am. Like I say, what you see is what you get. I don't care if you like me because I like who I am.
Yeah.
I'm happy with who I am. I can look in the mirror now, genuinely, and say, Harry, I love you. Before, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror and say, I actually did this on my mum many years ago. I said, stand in the mirror and say, I love you. 5 times. And she got to the second one, burst down, knees crumbled, fell to the floor. I had to pick her up, hold her. And it was that particular day. I remember she left the front door and she said, I'll go to therapy, I promise you. I said, Mum, it will change your life. It's changed mine. And look what I've done in the last 6 months. This is probably about 6 months into my sobriety, into my recovery this time. She said, I'll go, I promise. I said, good. And then nothing happened. And then I got around one afternoon and I said, please get some help because you're going to be a grandma to a little girl. We're having a baby, we're having a daughter. I said, oh my God. And then off she went. And yeah, she went to one therapy session. And I've heard from other people that she said she was under duress. She said she was being blackmailed. There's nothing wrong with me. My family, this, blah, 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 blah. It's everyone else, pointing the finger at everyone else. No accountability whatsoever. And I just sit and I just think, wow. You know, now she is now threatening, using the house as a tool to threaten us. If you don't let me meet my granddaughter, you don't care about your granddaughter, you care about me. Because you've got so much trauma around what happened when you left. That's the issue. So work through it so we can both be happier. Because I've got good people around me. And you bring a lot of toxic energy. So leave that at the door.
Despite all that, you're doing the work.
I am. And like I say, I've got Travis back. I got to 6 months. Did a hair strand test. Got him back. His mum, the woman who said, you know, you'll never see him again. I wish you would die because it would be easier to mourn you than to worry about where you are when you use him, when you run off on a bender. That same woman now texted me earlier on today about something that was in his school bag. And, you know, she's asked if I could, you know, well, she FaceTimed me actually as I got off the train. Randomly, it come up with her name, FaceTime, and she's trying to do Travis's hair. And I was like, no, you got to do that. And everyone was watching me around. I was on the phone because, like, I'm used to just filming in public now. And everyone's like, is he all right? And I'm like, no, do that with it. Like, and he's going, all right, Dad. Like, I'm on the train station.
What's it like
It's the same
co-parenting?
Yeah, beautiful. I actually am grateful for, I'm grateful for you stopping me from seeing him because he would have ended up damaged like I was due to the toxic behaviours. I can still have my moments, but I'm a pretty solid geezer now, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be Travis's dad and be in his life. And I thought that I had the same mentality when I was in active addiction and I was using every day. If I just go a couple of days without, I'll be all right to see him. Just let me have him for the weekend. I'm not a bad dad, but I was very up and down, very.
How did you repair that relationship
With
so
her,
that you're able to co-parent?
So obviously I've documented my journey on social media. the whole world's been watching, and she's been watching too. And we went to court 5 years ago for me to get access, and I couldn't stay clean the night before. I pretended like I was clean. I went in there, I said, I'm clean, yeah. I haven't used for 6 months.
Yeah.
She was like, and I was like, I was pale, I was ill, I was very unwell, believing my own bullshit. And the judge said, get 6 months clean, you can see your son. I was like, Kushti, all right, I could do that. And I stopped off at the pub on the way home. And at that point, that was the relapse. That was the pub. That was the 4.5 year relapse. I left the courthouse and went, all right, I'll see you in 6 months. No, I must have relapsed before because I was using. Yeah, no, that's right. I relapsed before that. And then I stopped again off at the pub, rang the dealer, said last time, and I carried on for 4.5 years. But yeah, the co-parenting relationship we got now is good. There's obviously a lot of. I've got to make amends a little bit more.
Did you apologise to her?
I haven't. I haven't. I haven't.
What would you say if you were to offer her some kind of apology for everything that you put her through emotionally when you were using?
So this is why I'm in the fellowship. So in the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, which is my choice of fellowship, NA, we have it's a 12-step program, and I just want to clarify something. Actually, I'm not religious. So for those that are wondering, because I wear a cross in every single one of my videos, the reason I wear this cross is because engraved on it up close, which none of you would have been able to ever have seen, it has the Serenity Prayer, which is what we. At the end of the meeting, we all hold hands in NA and we say the serenity prayer, yeah? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's why I wear that, and I feel safe all the while I'm wearing that. Look, I've got a hair on me. Must have been a guinea pig.
Are you spiritual?
Spiritual, yeah. And what I mean by that is I believe in something higher. I believe in a higher power. I don't believe in a big bearded bloke in the sky, yeah? I'll give you an example of my higher power. We went in for a planned C-section to have Billy.
Yeah.
On day 303. 303 days clean. Felicity and I both 303 days clean. 11 a.m. we go into the hospital. We're sitting around waiting for the doctors to come. They do this, do that. We're going to have lunch first. Blah, 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 blah. No control over the day whatsoever. Guess what time Billy's born? 3:03 p.m.
Wow.
That's a higher power moment. That's what I believe. I believe something out there is watching over us. So yeah, not religious but spiritual.
Can you get clean if you don't believe in a higher power?
Yeah, there's loads of different ways. You could my journey, this is just my experience, yeah. People that I met in the rooms 11 years ago said, Harry, this is what we did. If you don't stop, you're going to lose everything. And I said, no, I'll be all right. I've always done my own thing. And yeah, fast forward a couple of years, I'd lost everything. I'd lost access to Travis, my fiance. I was engaged to his mum. Yeah, I proposed in Venice to her many years ago. I lost the woman I loved. I lost the house, the cars, the bikes. My driving license got revoked. I had no bank account. I was literally a ghost because I was trying to manipulate the bank. I was like fraudulently manipulating my bank to get money out. So by saying I'd drawn a cash withdrawal and I couldn't. And then I was like doing claim backs on items that I'd ordered. It's wild. I was a big gambler as well. So yeah, that was, and the way that what they do, going to 90 meetings in 90 days, that wasn't for me. Ice baths is, there's other people that might take an ice bath every day but not be able to get clean. There's people that go to meetings. There's people that just whatever. Everyone's recovery is different, and this is just my experience. But you don't have to, you don't have to be spiritual or believe in a higher power. It kind of helps because an addict alone is bad company, and all the while I'm in my own head, it can be kind of heavy. And when the thoughts and the urges come on, it's a little bit nicer and a little bit easier to think of something higher, something greater. Like you and I, you could be my higher power. Us, we is greater than I. And anything. My higher power doesn't look like anything. It doesn't have a shape or a size or a color or a smell or a temperature. It's just I know that there's something out there guiding me, and for whatever reason, my destiny is already written, and our paths, my future's written, and it's bright. Addicts are high achievers, and I've got a bright future, 100%.
What's your life purpose?
I found it to help other people. I spent 10 years smashing myself to bits with whatever I could for one reason, to gain knowledge and experience, to help the still suffering addict and to educate other people who don't know what the disease is, what it is, so they can help those that are suffering.
So you suffered for a long time and suffered in profound ways in order to gain the knowledge to be able to guide others.
The lived experience, Who better to help someone who's been through it? who better to understand another person who's struggling than someone who's been there, who knows what it's like to suffer, knows what it's like to live like an animal, knows what it's like to slowly commit suicide every day through substance misuse. Yeah, knows what it's like to feel lonely, lost, abandoned, spiritually bankrupt. Knows what it feels like to feel high. Knows what it feels like to feel safe. You know, I've been through all the emotions. You know, and
Interesting.
I try to label my emotions now, which is a good thing. I've got a feeling wheel at home on a cushion actually. So if I'm feeling a bit iffy, I'll look at it and because I'll ask my mates, you know, most of my mates growing up, you say, "Hello, mate, how are you?" "Yeah, good, you?" Well, good isn't a feeling, yeah. And you look around the wheel and you got emotions: happy, sad, frustrated,
Anger.
exhausted, anger, resentment, sadness. You know, there's lots of different feelings. So I try to label them. So when someone says, "How are you?" it's a bit weird, right? You imagine walking down the road, bumping into me being a geezer, walking down the road, bumping into an old mate from school, and he goes, "Hello, Harry, how are you?" And I turned around and went, "I feel a bit sensitive and a bit vulnerable today. A little bit exhausted from the work." You know, he'd be like, "All right, mate," because but what I'm trying to do is normalise that. Yeah,
Yeah.
"I'm all right, mate," isn't a feeling. Talk about how you feel, and once you know what a feeling is, you can then look into why you feel that way and then process it in a healthy way. Because I spent years feeling something but didn't know what it was, and it was only when I labelled it that I could go, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard being born a highly emotionally sensitive person because you live in a world that's not really designed to cater for all of that sensitivity.
It is pardon me. It is becoming a bit like that now, isn't it? The world's sort of evolving, and I think it will level out in 20, 30 years. When we're in the world we're in now is different, a lot, you know, very different. Everyone's kind of neurodiverse, and oh my god, my kids have got this, and my sister says I've got ADHD. If you're watching this, Jazz, you haven't got ADHD. I've got ADHD, and I know what it's like. Yeah, she's just got a bit of OCD. Learned behaviour again from my mum. Yeah,
Well, she does have trauma though, and
she grew up in the same household, but claims not to have any trauma. But we'll see.
she definitely has trauma. But what I believe about ADHD is that a highly sensitive person, so you're genetically highly sensitive, you're born that way, and the ADHD comes from the trauma. And you know, trauma, as you know, can come in so many different shapes or forms, even the invisible type of trauma, which is childhood emotional neglect.
Yeah, so she acts out, I believe, in cleaning. My sister's got a bit of a cleaning thing. She's
Anxious.
Yeah, very, you know, she'll hoover, then clean the hoover with an anti-back wipe. She's really, you know, walks like very OCD sort of style, you know, constantly cleaning and organising and stuff like. And my mum does the same thing, and I've got a little bit of it, but not too much. I like things in the right place. Yeah, I don't want to go to bed leaving the sofa cushions all flat and deflated. You know, when I leave here, I'll make sure that's smooth and, you know, things just like little things. I'm a bit like neat like that. It's good. Cleanliness is next to godliness, right?
Well, it's her way of managing her anxiety.
Yeah. But she won't admit. And does it affect her life? Probably not. She's got 2 beautiful kids. I don't know if she's happy in her relationship. I don't know what the situation is. We don't really talk because she's not at that emotional intelligence that I am, given what I've done in the last, you know, 496 days. So, we sort of still bicker a little bit. We didn't really get on much, me and my sister growing up. So, and then my brother cut me off, and all these family members cut me off. And this is the interesting thing, right? All my family cut me off when I was unwell, when I was toxic, when I was detrimental and causing them pain. Yeah. Why is it not okay for me to cut my mum off when she's not very well, when she's toxic, when she's detrimental and causing me pain?
Who is it not okay by?
Everyone. All my family. She's your mum, my dad says. I wish... yeah.
I mean, you can...
Jazz, my sister, is trying to push Felicity into, you know, can't you just meet up for a coffee with her?
You can...
Well, no, that's a boundary. We've set a boundary. Why are you trying to overstep that?
You can do anything that you want in your life. And if someone's behavior is impacting you, you know, why would you spend more time with the person?
Yeah, of course. I want to surround myself with positivity. I don't want to hang around with idiots. Yeah, if you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. You sit in a pub long enough. I don't go sitting around pubs and hang around crack houses, do I? I'm in recovery. I want to surround myself with positive. You know, I go to mental health groups. I meet up with the boys at Plunge, Leon Solon, my mate Stu. You know, me, Stu, Gary, Dan, Mark, Pete. You know, we all meet up. And there's about 30, 40 blokes now every Sunday. We meet up at the beach. We all go in the water. We do some Wim Hof breath work. We all get in the sea. We have a coffee after. that family, brotherhood,
So you have a
community. And these are people that
community.
I've met in the last year. I don't hang around with anyone I used to know. And in fact, a lot of the people that I used to hang around with, the circles I used to run in, liking my videos, watching, messaging me saying, "Bro, how did you do it? You was the worst one out of all of us."
Yeah.
If I thought if anyone was going to die next, it was you. The amount you used to do.
How did you manage to cut all those people off?
I just changed my circles. Just changed, yeah. Just changed. I changed my number because obviously I had to delete my number because I kept having dealers texting me saying, hot offer this weekend, 300 and all these deals. And then after, you do. It's tough, especially if you're in the early stages of recovery. You're 4 or 5 days clean and you're like really uncomfortable in your skin because your dopamine in your body and all your brain chemistry is all over the place because you've just done loads of coke or done loads of drugs or whatever and you're kind of all over the place. And then you get a text message from someone saying, "Oh, got some lovely gear, rocket fuel, new stuff, Colombia." Oh, straight away your addict, gremlin in the back of your brain goes, "Oh, go on then. How much? How long? Send the postcode." Next minute, and then have I done that again? Oh no! And then all your family, "What have you done? You were 4 days." Oh. It's just a cycle. So yeah, changing your number is a massive thing. Change your number, change your circle. You hang around with idiots, you're going to be an idiot. That's my motto. And yeah, I just cut those people out. I formed new friendships. I put myself out of my comfort zone. Yeah, your full potential is the other side of fear. That's what I say. Yeah, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, going to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Get off the pity potty and try to put a bit of effort in. Yeah, if you put 10% of effort into your recovery that you do into getting more coke at 4 a.m. when you've got no money, having to try and borrow money off of people that you see online on your messenger app. Yeah, all the stuff that put a little bit of that effort into getting clean, your life will change. And I've documented my whole journey so far. So if you want to watch it, go back and have a look.
So you went for a period of time with no friends at all before making new friends in order to get
Well,
clean.
I kind of cut. I isolate. Addiction wants you on your own, right? The disease of addiction wants me on my own, isolated, lonely, lost, angry, tired. Yeah, and so I kind of the people that I was meeting, they weren't really friends. They were user buddies. They were associates. That what have you got? How much have you got? What can you do? It's exchanges. You know what I mean? If someone messages me and says, "Can you sort something?" I'll be like, "Yeah, well, what's in it for me?" And then I'd, say that there's that much, then get a bit, and it was, they weren't really friends; they were just associates. But yeah, a lot of my friends from years ago, I don't really think I ever really had true friends. I've got them now, that's for sure, with the boys. Yeah.
What's that like, having those people in your life?
Special. To have people that genuinely care. I always said this once, right? Because I do think I'm a good friend. I am a good friend and I'll do anything for anyone. You can see that. I've done everything I've done so far. I've done charitable. I haven't made a single penny and I've helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people message and a lot of people comment and I'm helping people. I didn't realise that this was the journey I'd end up on. I didn't have any idea this is where I'd end up. I didn't, this has become my life and I'm rolling with it, right?
Yeah.
I always used to say, I wish I had a friend like me. I wish I had a friend like me. And now I've got like 7 or 8 of them, literally, that I could phone at any time. And they
Amazing.
do, I had a mate phone me years ago. It's like after 1:30 in the morning, I think, 12, 1:30. Just about to go to bed. I was with Travis's mum, I remember. I was just about to go to bed. And he phoned me and he was like, "Oh, mate, I've just lost all my money in the casino. I'm in Milton Keynes." I was like, "That's 2.5 hours away." I was like, "I'll see you in about 2.5 hours then." He's like, "All right, cool." I drove from Portsmouth to Milton Keynes, got up there at 3:30, and he's standing outside the casino. I lost all my money, and I dropped him off. And he would never have done that for me. I don't think he would.
So you're helping all these people for free?
Yeah, I don't charge.
Why
I'm not a life
not,
coach. I'm not charging people £50 an hour to sit on Zoom.
Why are you not charging people?
Because how can I charge someone for something that was freely offered to me?
Unless you're paying it forward.
Yeah, my time will come. I'll get enough views. Sponsors will be coming. I'm right on the cusp of getting it really right. Yeah, I'm about to set up a CIC, a community interest company. Obviously, I've launched my own ice bath brand. I've got Let's Get It, Stay Chilly, Go Get It. I've got hats, beanies, t-shirts. I've got loads of stuff that I've got loads of plans. But yeah, the next step for me is to launch a CIC, get some grants, get some sponsors, get some money in the pot, build a team, and help people with substance abuse and help
Amazing.
people that are in active addiction get clean and help people get their kids back. Yeah, drugs tests, hair strand tests. They're not cheap. They're not free. You can't get them on universal credit. You can't get them on benefits. So I had to pay £1,000. Luckily, I had family that could pay for that. But some people just that are clean can't get their kids back because they can't provide a sample.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got a job or they haven't got the money, or everything that comes in goes out. So I'd love to be able to help these people that are in the local community or even further, up the country.
Yeah.
I've got
Brilliant.
some money here. Let's get you a drugs test, and we'll prove to you we get you. Because this is my experience. I want to help other people get their kids back in their lives. A lot of people message me and say, "I ain't seen my kids for this long. I haven't." It's like it's like reading it's like reading a paragraph out of my book. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
What a beautiful journey
Yeah.
that you're on in relation to what you're going to do next with your
Yeah.
career.
And because I'm getting views, I average like 10 million views a month at the moment. So,
Yeah.
I just need a big brand to believe in me. So if anyone's watching this that wants to, stick their logo on my tub, I'm in talks with a few other brands, like the lights that I told you about. I'm talking to them at the moment. They're really, really quite cool lights. I won't plug them because I want them to pay me. But that's the money, it's not going to line my pockets and pay for my trip to Barbados. It's going to pay for, it's going to go back into the pot. That's what I don't need a G-Wagon. I don't need a Rolex. I don't need all that materialistic stuff to make me happy. I'm all right with who I am. Yeah, just a nice new pair of trainers every 6 months or a year. I literally have 2 pairs of jeans, a couple of jumpers. I've got quite a lot of hats, as you'll notice. A lot of my videos I wear the different hats.
Are you staying clean for the rest of your life?
I think I've got to, haven't I?
I think you have to.
I think I have to.
I
It
know.
doesn't scare me as much as it used to, because that used to scare me. And a lot of people that are watching this, if I said to you, you can't do it ever for the rest of your life, the first thing you're going to do is go, no thanks, mate, no chance. I'm going to get some now in case in case this happens too soon. Yeah. So one day at a time is definitely the way forward early in recovery. But then I think you do kind of get to a point. I've had some conversations. In fact, I had a chat with a guy called Dan. Dapper Laughs, Dan O'Reilly. He came on my channel a little while ago on his 3 years, and I asked him the same question. I said, "Are you going to stay clean?" I said, "Just for today." And I said the same thing, for the rest of your life. And he said, I remember him saying, "Mate, if I open the door to it," he's like, "No, I'm never going to use again." And I was like, "Has he?" So the conversations that I've had with different people, to answer that question, honestly, sitting here right now, I'd like to think. I don't know. I'm afraid to say it. I don't know why, but I'm afraid to say that I'll never do it again. But I don't want to. I let so many people down for so long that I don't want to make promises I can't keep. And I am an addict, and I will always have the disease of addiction. Never will I be recovered. Yeah, so don't be paying someone £50 an hour to sit on a Teams call who's trying to take your money, who says they're recovered, who can now successfully have a beer on the weekends. Because I've met these people and it don't last long. Yeah, it's progressive, right? I'm total abstinence. Yeah, don't tell me you're clean or you're sober if you're still drinking, but alcohol wasn't your problem. Alcohol is a drug, right? This is how I believe it, right? And I'll go out of my way to help anyone. But yeah, I don't know whether or not I don't know. I won't use today. It might, I'm going to go to day 500 anyway. I've only got 4 more days for that. If I can do 496, I'll go to day 500. Then we'll think about where I'm at. But what's important is routine, structure, and discipline. If you say you're going to do something, show up. Not stop giving it lip service. Yeah, I'm talking to myself when I say this, but there's other people that can relate. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. These are positive affirmations to me. You're a good person, Harry. You're doing a good thing, and yeah, I can't charge people that are in crisis. I'll get some sponsors for brand awareness to be on the in the videos to support the work I'm doing, and we'll use that money to help people free of charge. That's the plan. Yeah, going into schools. I'd like to do some talks in prisons. In fact, I'm in with a prison. We're hoping to take some ice baths into a jail to get the guys on the drug rehabilitation wing. I'm in with a rehab, doing cold water exposure to the clients that are in there, the residents, and schools, universities, because unis is where a lot of people experiment. This is all great work that I've got to do, but in order to do this, I need to be paid, and that's kind of like the next step. Because at the moment, I'm skint, so I will need you to pay for my train for today, please.
My pleasure.
I'll send you the
pleasure.
invoice.
How different are you emotionally compared to the start of this journey? And how confident are you that transforming the way that you regulate your emotions, transforming the way that you operate emotionally, and transforming the way that you relate to yourself emotionally How confident are you that that can build resilience that will mean that you'll never go back to using again?
I just, yeah, that's it's a great question. I am completely different to who I was, because a lot of people, right? I said this in a video a while back, and I remember upsetting a couple of people. The disease of addiction is the only disease that, once cured, you become a better version of yourself. Yeah, you get cancer, you're praying to get back to how you were before, right?
Yeah.
You're very unlikely to become a better person, right? Because you've got to have you got ill, you're ill, yeah, you're terminally ill, or you've got something going on. Yeah, the disease of addiction, once it's treated, you get clean and you surrender and you put it down and you put the gear down and you get clean. You start to live your life. You become a better, like, super hero enhanced version of yourself. Yeah, I who I was always meant to be now. Back before my addiction really took off, I didn't really know who I was anyway. And I spent years when I was using, wanting to be normal, wanting to be me, but actually that me was that was an old version of me. I don't want to be the guy I was before I started using drugs, because if I went back to that version, I'd probably be looking for drugs again, because I wasn't actually happy with that version. So I've become a better version of myself. And yeah, as long as I just put my recovery first, as selfish as it sounds, you have to. Yeah, so people, anyone's watching this, if you're struggling, you have to put your recovery first. You have to, because I had a business, I had it all, and they said to me, "You got to put your recovery first, Harry." I said, "Nah, listen, my business is more important. I've got to make some money, mate. I've got a car on finance. I've got all this, holiday. If I'm, if I'm not clean, I'm no good to anyone." And yeah, my emotional intelligence has grown. I've learned a lot about myself. I'm very open-minded now. I'm willing, and I'm resilient, and I've built that by showing up for myself one day at a time. And yeah, long may it continue. I'm gonna keep going. Ice Bath Harry's got another 505 or 6 days to go, or 504 days to go, and I don't know what I'll do. Maybe at that point I'll have a podcast like this, and we'll have guests like, come on, and maybe you'll be on my show one time.
I hope so.
Cool,
People don't ask me enough questions.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you?
So we've just launched the website, icebathharry.co.uk, and yeah, we've got merch on there. There's a page about me. There's a page about the story with Polar, how we came to collaborate. We're still collaborating. So I've got some ice baths. If you want a chiller or sauna, we've still got a referral code for Polar over there. Ice Bath Harry across the board. I'm on. Can I mention other social medias? Yeah.
Mention whatever you.
Okay.
Whatever you
YouTube,
like.
TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And I will soon be on LinkedIn, because, again, going back to what we just mentioned, sponsorships, the people that are scrolling LinkedIn are more likely to go, we'd like to be mentioned and be affiliated with a charity. It's a non-profit. That's the plan, and we'll reinvest it. And yeah, Ice Bath Harry, that's where you can find me. And if you are looking to start your sobriety and you've tried lots of other methods, why not try some cold water exposure? It'd be the best 125 quid. The tub's 125 quid for a standard ice bath. And that's how I started. I took my first ice bath, and my dopamine just spiked, and I felt great for hours. And I just I see what I've become Ice Bath Harry. But I've also become a father, twice. I've become a better partner, a better son, a better brother. I've become a better person all round. I was never this version of me. And yeah, just reach out if you're struggling. And if you want to follow and you want to see some more of my content, or you want to see some more of me, head over to one of my socials, Ice Bath Harry.
Can you do the arm thing for me? Because this is beautifully coordinated.
So what do you want me to do? My intro?
Yeah, can you do the intro? Because I love it.
I haven't taken today's ice bath. So today will be, when I get home, it will be day 496. Hi, I'm Harry, and this is day 496 of taking an ice bath every single day to help my mental health, help me stay clean and serene, living free from active addiction.
Oh my God. I love it.
Say it. Let's.
I can't read it.
Get it. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Wait, where is the let's get it? I've never heard of this coming from.
That's my catchphrase. That's in every single one of my videos.
I thought it was the clean and serene thing and the arms.
Yeah, let's
Too much catchphrase.
Let's get it. Thank you.
I love it. Congratulations, Harry. It's amazing what you're doing. And thanks for helping so many people. Thanks for changing yourself in order to
To
find your life purpose.
and change the world a little, one ice bath at a time, shaping, the industry. And like I said, I can't charge someone for something that was freely offered to me. I help
Yeah.
anyone, and I'm only one guy. So, but
Yeah.
if I can get some sponsors and get some dough in the bank, then I can build a team, and we can do we could really, really, tackle the war on drugs. Yeah, don't tackle the drug dealers. Help the people that are struggling. Because
Amazing.
if they're fixed, we start fixing addicts, the dealers have got no business.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you
you.
so much for coming
You're
here.
welcome. Thanks for having
And
me.
keep going.
Thank you.